All right. Welcome, everybody, to Tuesday Lead Gen and Conversion Coaching and Training. I'm your host, Jason Will. Hey, I hope you guys all had a safe and relaxing and recharging Memorial Weekend. Now it's time to really put the pedal to the metal, as Blake will be the first to remind you. One of the keys to maintaining momentum in the real estate business, as you might suspect, is to not take your foot off the gas pedal. I can't think of a time of year more challenging in that regard than summertime. So many of us spend a little more time home with our kids during the summer months. That doesn't mean you should not have childcare in place. If you do, because you absolutely should. But nevertheless, there's a lot of distractions during the summertime. And one of the points I want to make sure that resonates with y'all this morning is the intentional congruence reality of real estate sales. Okay, so when I am living, I am working. And when I am working, I am living. So whatever I'm doing as a leisure activity, date night, I'm out on a hike, I'm out on the lake, I'm going to the beach, I'm fishing, that's content. And what we've been saying since the beginning of really fourth quarter last year, when I really started getting ramped up with the Jared James Network and his coaching program, is that your real estate business is driven by two key factors. Two key factors. Now, after today, there shouldn't be any confusion about what those two factors are, right? Those two factors are database management and content creation. So the whole Jared James coaching organization mantra is content, 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 database, database, database. All right. So this is something you guys, like, you could transform into an affirmation to tell yourselves every single day. That is your mission, to nurture your database. That's a lot of phone work, a lot of texting, a lot of emailing, but the majority of it is phone work. And the content, I want you to see it as a gateway. I've said this many, many times, that our job description, our primary job description, is to have conversations with people. Now, in order to have confident conversations with people, we need to know the market. We need to know what's going on with the interest rates. We need to know our inventory. We need to study the data. We need to deep dive in the MLS data, which many of you do not do. And you're just not doing the things that you should be doing on a daily basis, but yet wondering why you're slow, why your real estate business is not paying you like a business. Well, it's very simple. Anything you treat like a hobby that has the opportunity for financial gain is going to pay you like one. All right. So I want maybe the theme of this call to be, don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple, stupid. Everybody heard the KISS acronym. It's really popular in sales. Keep it simple, stupid. And many of you overcomplicate this like I've never seen before. And we need to figure it out, because we're not in a situation of doom and gloom. When we are keeping our foot on the gas pedal and executing dollar productive activities on a very consistent basis, then there's always opportunities to be had in any market, right? I just heard an agent talk over the weekend about how they're because the interest rates, I don't know if you guys saw that. Everybody on this call should have seen that because of these debt ceiling negotiations, and in some cases lack thereof, it caused the interest rates to jump well over 7% to a recent high that we have not seen. And this agent was like, all right, we're cutting everything back. Everybody tighten it up. And that's just the worst possible strategy. It's the worst possible, outcome for your business. And it's 100% a momentum killer. Okay. Now, any questions about what we should be doing to build our business. Any questions about what I've said? Any objections to what I've said? Just to summarize while we're waiting on any questions, if your business is not paying you like a business, you're not treating it like one, which means you don't have a daily focus on content creation, distribution, database management. Database management, let's go over that real quick, just in case we have anybody that's, confused about that. That is making sure that all of your return visitors in your database are touched on a consistent basis. That means your sphere of influence. That means your new leads. The database should be a combination of Mets and non-Mets, right? So you're adding new people in. Content creation is a great way to add new people in, to start conversations outside, maybe offline, and then bringing them in online into your sales funnel, which for many of you is your Boomtown database. All right. But we also do not need to neglect our sphere of influence. Some of you don't even touch your sphere of influence at all, and it shows, because that should be one of your lowest hanging fruit opportunities. Okay. So let's go over it again. The daily focus: content, database. Some of you that are really, really relentless, like religious prospectors, could get content of yourselves, like take a selfie of you, dialing. I get up every day. This is what I do, how I start my day. I get up and make an hour or two of phone calls every single day. Okay. So maybe it's time to devise a schedule where you start your day consistently every day with market research, then go right to your dials. Then maybe you have flex time where you're responding to emails, text messages, maybe doing a little contract to close. And then after lunch, maybe you take somebody to lunch, like a title agent, a loan officer, pick their brains, home inspector, another agent that's super successful, that is achieving the results you'd love to achieve in real estate. And then you spend your afternoon, if you're not showing homes to buyers or going on listing appointments, you should be previewing the local inventory. All right. So I'm coaching a real estate agent that has a ton of potential, right? And I gave her this assignment. I said, a real estate listing does not come on the market in the target market that you desire to serve above all others. And life's going to get in the way. Some are going to sell in a hot minute, and oh well. But as often as possible, you're out there previewing these homes and knowing the inventory. And when we do things like that, when we study the MLS, when we study our contracts, and we get out and physically look at all the inventory, that's going to help us gain a heck of a lot of confidence on the telephone. I know one of the biggest problems real estate agents have is they don't want to do these activities because there's no immediate ROI on these activities. Real estate agents do not see the point in conducting themselves like professionals if there's not a really strong possibility of a financial gain at the end of it. And a lot of what we're doing is just laying groundwork. It's preparing, it's hitting balls at the range, preparing for that moment where we're going to, have the opportunity to sink that putt and get bragging rights over Blake Ray because he sucks at golf, right? I'm a much better golfer than Blake. Yeah. Plus he can't carry the bag. It's a whole thing. But you see what I'm saying? We're showing up to the game and we're sitting on the sidelines waiting to go in to really have this glorious moment on the field, but yet we're unprepared. We haven't practiced. Our mindset's not right. And when that opportunity presents itself, it's probably going to pass us by because we're not going to be able to take advantage of it because we're not prepared. All right. So keep it simple, stupid. How are you overcomplicating this? Why are you overcomplicating this? There's an agent on this call right now that I had an hour-long coaching consult with in the fall, who's still trying to figure it out. But if she would have implemented the things we talked about in the fall, who knows? She could be one of the most successful agents in our company right now. So anybody got the intestinal fortitude to come up and say, like, this is why I don't do this, or this is what's getting in the way of doing this? This is why I'm inconsistent. This is why I don't devise a schedule. This is why I don't treat my business like a business, because I promise you that things can be different. And the bad news is that many of you are overcomplicating this. The good news is that real estate is such where we can right the ship in 30, 60 to 90 days, depending on how seriously we take this, how, the level of our work ethic, how much ambition we have, how badly we want it, right? We can turn this on a dime. So that's the reality. It's just a situation where, if you are doing the same things over and over and over and expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. Okay. And the reason I do these calls is to try to inspire some of you. I know it won't reach all of you, but some of you under the sound of my voice, that you're getting in your own way. The problem is not the fact that you're a single mom. The problem is not the fact that interest rates are over 7%. The problem is not the fact that inventory has not rebounded the way we wanted it to. And that's going to get compounded. All these things we're not doing is compounded by the level of distractions, which have gone up and up and up and up and up, given the fact that it's now summer break. There's always somebody going, hey, let's just go to the beach today. Or there's always amazing things to do with your kids every single day. And because we have the freedom that we have, it's easier to say, oh, I'll get to that tomorrow. Because in our business, there's always an opportunity to catch up, to make up work that we put off. And as I've already said, the way to maintain momentum in the real estate business is to keep your foot on the gas. All right. Any brave souls willing to speak up at this point? That's not me snoring. That's the dog. Blake, as general manager of the team, you got many team members on today's call, which is great to see that. But what would you say, or can you say, what the biggest reason is why we don't have the majority of the people on this call at 2+ million in sales? Because if we're not right there, we're close to this midway point of the year. Y'all see that? I mean,
yeah,
that's how fast, boom, boom, it goes by that quick. Yeah. And so, oh crap, that's not great news. But the good news is, like I said, 30, 60, 90 days to a whole different reality. Blake, what say you?
I mean, they know it. It's consistency, but I think the underlying thing that you're touching on is, you used to say it all the time. I loved it when you said you used to have micro goals. Like, I was a big fan of that, because I think, everybody thinks like, well, okay, because I'm hearing it more and more as I'm helping some of these lenders call the leads too. And I'm noticing that there's a huge gap. Like, everybody's like, oh, I made 10 dials for 2 days. These are BS. And, I get it from the real estate perspective, because we get up there into months, but I think it's just solved a little bit of consistency, which, luckily that was the only thing that made sense when I didn't have sales, was I could only control going to the office and making dials.
Okay. So I'm sure a lot of people were not listening, but we just heard one of like the key elements of not only having a healthy real estate business, a robust sales pipeline, but also really having a high quality of life. And what Blake Ray just said was to focus on what you can control. And you can control what you did this morning. You can control what time you woke up and what you've done since then. Okay, that is all within your control. And the rest of today after this call, also within your control. Will you fill it with what matters? And I think a fair statement as to why we focus on things that are outside of our control in the real estate industry, and we don't keep it simple, stupid, and we're very inconsistent, is what I've already spoken about, and that is the level of distractions that are out there. A lot of real estate agents feel like they're drinking from a fire hose, and they know there's all these things they could do in a day that would help them grow their business. They just don't know either where to start or where the order of priority is. And I'm telling you right now, if we could do an exercise right now. So if I went around the call today and asked everybody individually, what's something that they feel like they have way more control over? Content creation and distribution or database management? Many of you would pick database management. Okay.
Mm.
So that would be your low-hanging fruit. What you can control today is getting on the phone and making these calls. I would say this in that regard, which is one thing that baffles me, is that some of you aren't willing to make the calls, even though that's totally within your control. You're already paying for the cell phone, the bill every single month. And I've often said on these calls that when you look at your cell phone bill, you should be like, oh, this is the one bill I love because it has the ability to make you a millionaire. But some of you aren't willing to make the calls. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, because when people leave the team, the leads get transferred around, team members. And Blake has many times told me that he's picked up a buyer, a seller from one of these leads that gets dispersed out. And when he looks closely at the agent's efforts to convert that lead, what he sees is like just emails. Okay, there's
left message, email.
Yeah, so maybe there's one message, then it just stacks emails. There's no text messages. All right. And the emails, and if there are text messages and emails, and I'm sure if there's a voicemail, it's just like, hey, give me a call back if there's anything I can do to help you. Hey, I'm just here to let you know that when you get ready or get serious about buying, I'm here to help you. They're not valuable messages like, hey, give me a call back at your earliest convenience. I see that you're looking for properties in Orange Beach, and I've got a couple that I really want to tell you about that I think you'd be like really interested in. Or, hey, Mr. Buyer, I see that you're really looking at this one subdivision, and here's some information on the amenities and the school district and the current price point situation, sold price per square foot. Just give them some valuable information. And oh, by the way, I've got one coming up, or I know that there's two coming soon. Would love to give you some information on those. I don't know, but yet here we are, right? Here we are. We're beating our heads against these walls, going, "Gosh, what's the deal? Like, what's my issue? What's my issue?" I've heard from some of y'all, on the weekly emails, and I just want to say, I appreciate those of you that respond because it does help greatly with our insight as to where the mindset of the team is. But some of y'all are just like, I got nothing going on, and I don't know why. I need you to help me figure out, like, what am I not doing? And I'm like, you're probably not doing the stuff I told you to do 2 years ago, or Blake told you to do 2 years ago, or Amber told you to do 2 years ago. Get back to whatever that was. Double down on what you were doing that was working. And I'm telling you that it's content, database. All right. And the way we stay consistent to that end is having a schedule that we go by. We the night before, the morning of, we're putting up our schedule. Go, all right, here's my priorities for the day. Market research, getting an hour or two of dials in every day, at least 5 days a week. And then when I'm out previewing properties or showing properties or going on listing appointments, there's inevitably going to be a ton of content opportunities. Like, some of y'all just need to let people know that you're out previewing properties, that you're conducting yourself as a professional agent. When was it, Blake? Like a weekend or two ago, after one of our wiffle ball games, which I think I scored a couple home runs.
Yeah.
I ended up giving one of the new guys on our team, a ride back to where his wife was. His wife is a resident of Ross Bridge, where we live, and she was hosting an open house. And Diana was helping her with that open house. And I walked in on them having a conversation about, Diana was asking her where her business came from. And she said 80% of her business comes from social media. Okay. Is that going to be the case for all of y'all? No. But for the ones of y'all that are throwing up goose eggs week after week, month after month, in terms of production, like if you got 10% or 20%, heck, 5% of your business came from social media. That's 5% more you ain't got right now. Okay. So some of it is not like, hey, look at me do this dance. Okay. I'm sure Trey's not gonna be, man, I went to Lululemon this weekend and look at this. Look at the form-fitting yoga pants I got. That's not your lane, bro. But if you get up every morning and you're consistent with the dial, like, this is how I conduct my business. I don't wait for things to happen. I don't wait for other agents to sell my listings. I get on the phone and pound it every day. That would be something special. Why, you ask? I'm glad you asked. Because social media platforms are acting as the modern day resume, the digital resume. Anybody heard me say that? Sure you have. But yet, if I do a social media audit on your pages, it's going to be sad. It's not going to get me excited about working with you. It doesn't tell me like, hey, Elamar is great at negotiations. Hell, Todd is awesome at listing marketing. I'm just not going to see any of that stuff. I'm not going to see that you love where you live. I'm not going to see that you're a supporter of local small businesses. And there's people on this team that are doing that. Me, Amber, me, Rodrigo, right out of the gate with the content. I don't know if he can speak to that and say, like, I picked up any business from it, but I guarantee you that he will. I guarantee you that he will if he stays consistent with it.
Yeah, some of the ones I already had is from social media. So
okay, so you're number 2, Rodrigo, behind Blake in our Magic City division, and you're basically just started. And people are asking Blake, when you're not in the room, Rodrigo, what's he doing? Like, what's going on? Tell me what he's doing, and I will do it. All right. Content, database. That's what he does.
Yeah. Reading books, studying the market, calling people, sending, like properties. Yep. I mean, when I go home, like at night, I've been sending like properties to people. I think you should like this one. You should check it out. Things like that.
Blake?
Well, just to follow with the keep it simple, stupid mantras, I've been telling a lot of them is like, I was talking to Shamar today, and I said, I think most people's stuff, like, you got to be doing, if you want to get paid like a full-time realtor, you have to be doing real estate more than you're not doing real estate. Like, to any degree, social media, open houses, previewing, in the MLS, on Zillow, calling, reaching out to people, all that stuff, right? Like, to keep it with the mantra of keeping it simple, stupid, right? Like, if you audited your day in a 24-hour day and you could only attribute 2 hours to being in the office or whatever, I know that there's degrees of that can be love where you live style stuff too. But I think that's the keep it simple, stupid formula, right? Like, if you look at your day from what normal pedestrians work at, 9 to 5, isn't that the American average? From 9 to 5, how much is that dedicated to real estate related activities? No, I'm not even putting a limit on 2 hours.
Right back. Keep it going, Blake. I'll be right back. Keep it going.
Okay. Well, I was asking you a question.
No.
Oh, okay. I think it's that simple, right? Like, if your day starts at 9 and it ends at 11, I mean, nowhere else are you going to expect that pay. I'm going to be incredibly awkward now because I was definitely asking him that. Isn't that the keep it simple, stupid thing? Yeah. I had to repeat the question. I didn't have a finisher there.
I had to let one of the dogs out, man. I've got a lot
Okay.
going on. All
Yeah.
right, what was the question?
Damn, man.
Let me ask Todd what the question was. I bet he can't answer it.
Yeah.
We're just kind of mumbling on for 30
Yeah, I had to. To keep it simple, stupid, like to go along with that. Like I think Amber, I think Aaron do a great job with social media. I got some of my agents that I think kind of have that little factory worky grind on the dials. I think some of them are just absolute people. Like Elmar's a great people person, right? Meet him, he lights up a room. If you're doing real estate from a 9 to 5 level, which is most people in the world, right? Not doing real estate, but I'm talking about working.
Okay.
If most of your day is dictated towards real estate, with the keep it simple, instead of trying to tell them, sounded better when I said the first time, but
I can tell you, I'm really confused right now. I don't know if any.
I've been telling the agents that like you can't come in, you got to look at your day as a whole from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Right? If you're doing real estate from 9 to 4, you're gonna be successful. And I don't care what degree that is. If that's social media all day, if that's social media cocktails lunch, if that's dialed cocktails, nothing else, I don't care what it is. If you're doing it more than you're not. But if like your day goes, well, 9 to 10, I really hit it hard. And 10 to 10:30, I looked at the MLS. And then I kind of got around and, cleaned the house and went and did this. Like, it's just, you're never going to get paid that level. You get paid, but just not what you're probably going to be comfortable with.
Well, I would tell you, like, one of the ways we're not keeping it simple is, let's say that I have a job and I get off at 2:00 every afternoon. And I know I'm getting off at 2, and I know when I get off at 2, I got to clock in and put my real estate hat on. 2:00 rolls around and I go, all right, real estate time. What do I need to be doing? What am I going to do? Then we try to decide right then how we're going to spend the rest of our afternoon. And gosh knows how much long we spend pondering that. And whenever we do that, whenever we lack a plan, whenever we lack direction, not only are we being inefficient and wasting time, we're leaving ourselves wide open to be easily distracted. Okay. And we're not keeping it simple. I will say, I know I've said this 100 times. I'll say it again. Do some research on how Warren Buffett keeps it simple. Guys, his days are very mundane. He'll be the first to tell you, my days are boring as hell. They're the same. Like, I do the same stuff, even his snacks, his lunch, like everything's the same. And I'm not saying you got to be that mundane, but success is mundane. It's getting the grind out. And the good thing about us is if we don't have to divide our time with other, income streams, because we're not seeing the results we want in real estate. If we do not have to divide our time, then we can spend our afternoons out there doing things that I think are actually kind of fun. But you really need to like real estate. Like, I like looking at homes. I like looking at homes of all price ranges and all different areas. I like looking at the lifestyle features, the amenities, the construction, the detail, outdoor living spaces. I really like this industry. Some of you don't necessarily like it. You're just in it because maybe somebody told you would like it, or it's a means to an end, or it is a side hustle or a hobby for you, and it's going to continue to pay you like one. And that's where I come in and go, and listen, some of y'all shouldn't be here. Some of y'all should be out doing something else that really feeds your soul. Now, the caveat to that is you don't necessarily have to really be infatuated with the industry. You could be infatuated with the freedom that this industry affords you. Being able to say, my kid's sick today, I don't have to call anybody. to get permission to be a mom or a dad, a good parent today. I can just go do that. But I understand when I erase the dollar productive activities from my schedule, they must be replaced if I want to maintain a specific amount of momentum. Diana Will, prime example, okay? Got up today, going into the office. Did she have to go in today? Absolutely not. Could she have worked from home? Could she have done a bunch of stuff? But she specifically said, we're going on vacation next week, Saturday to Saturday. I need to get my work in. Like I got to work double time this week. So going to be working late every night this week. Just put me on notice. Okay. That's how a professional does it. That's their mindset. Got to get the work in because I don't want to lose momentum. And I can tell you, just using her as an example for a minute, one of the things that fuels her is a great deal of ambition. She has got goals. She has got a quality of life that she wants to achieve, and she wants to have a retirement that has as little financial stress as possible. Okay, so some of y'all just may need to be connected to what drives you. That was one question I had for Rodrigo. I don't think he's on the call anymore, but that was one thing I wanted to ask him. I don't specifically know what his why is, but I can tell you he conducts himself as someone would that has a great deal of ambition or knows exactly why they want to make money. I'm assuming he doesn't want to go home and look his wife in the eye and tell her that he's goofed around all day, that he just kind of cut up with Blake and I in the office all day. I don't think he would go home feeling really good about being a provider for his family, being a steward of his family economy, by just kind of going wherever the breeze blew him, day in and day out. So he gets his work done, and he's able to go home to his family, look him in the eye and go, I had a solid day. And then now, because I had a solid day, I kept it simple, stupid. Now I can really be present with what's going on here. I don't have to feel guilty about not getting my work done. I don't have to worry about things that I put off for tomorrow. It's just, I made some gains. I made some inches in the trenches today, and that's all I need to do. The other thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to be quiet for just a second, is that we don't have to. One thing that I try to keep at the forefront of my mind is all I need is a couple opportunities every week. Even, not guaranteed opportunities, but get a referral here, a buyer, have a great conversation with a buyer here, really plant the seed with a seller here. I don't have to close 100 deals a year. I don't have to close 50 deals a year to have an amazing life. Blake?
I was just saying, I've been telling them this. You can't. Most of y'all, like, I'm just being real. 100 contracts written would be enough that your hair would come out looking like Todd. Like, that's women included. You guys would lose your hair. It'd be grayer than my beard or Jason's beard. Like 100 contracts, just so y'all know. So I love where this is going. In the micro, used to have somebody in their office that used to say, one person a week, either a seller or a buyer. Let me show a house. Let me give you a CMA. And I always resonated with that because I was like, man, damn, that's 52 opportunities in a year, right? Yeah, 52.
And that is an amazing income. I mean, that would mean freedom. I mean, 52, I mean, we can cut that in half, right? We can cut we can cut it in half twice. We can go from 52 to 24 to 12. And those 12 deals might get us out of that part-time job. Those 12 deals are certainly going to build our confidence, which is going to shine through on the telephone, which is going to shine through on our appointments. It's going to help our face-to-face conversion ratio. It's just going to have an incredible ripple effect in terms of how it impacts our business. But I can tell you that here's the things that aren't going to work, okay? Procrastination, not going to work. Flying by the seat of your pants, not going to work. Not being like Rodrigo with a dedication to education. I try to go back to this as often as I can as well. Our first core value is the most important core value of your entire, professional life, which is to learn. And earn is right behind it for a reason. The more you learn, the more you earn. How many of you got up today with a learning-based activity? How many of y'all dedicated, an hour a day to MLS research last week? And so we just need to address the elephant in the room, is that we're not following the coaching. We're not following the training. We are not governing ourselves the way we should. We are not valuing our most valuable resource, which is time. So we're making all these bad decisions, and that really sucks, right? Because some of y'all at the half year point here, and you don't have anything to show for it, or not very much. And, that concerns me. I wonder, like, I sit up and go, how is that person paying their bills? Like, how is that person putting food on the table? How is that person, still in real estate to this point, when that's the results that they've achieved year to date? So that's the bad news. Okay. But the biggest, most impactful thing that could happen to you this morning is for you to hear that you can change that. Today could be day 1 of 30, or day 1 of 60, or day 1 of 90. We're at the end of that, the culmination of those days. And this is all depending on whether you get fired up right now and ready, I'm talking like ready to flip a table and get started today, or if you continue to procrastinate. Okay. But depending on your work ethic, your life could be totally different, could be on a totally different trajectory 30, 60, 90 days from now. Heck, if you guns blaze this thing, 90 days, you're not even going to recognize yourself. You're not going to recognize your confidence level. You're not going to recognize your momentum. You're not going to recognize the hope you feel, the confidence you feel, the attitude difference. You're just going to be like, wow, I'm a completely different person. Because some of y'all, listen, one of the biggest thorns in your side right now is your attitude, your outlook, the way you look at everything through a negative lens and not a positive lens, where you consider, life is happening to you and not for you. So these are all things we have control over, which we've spoken about. All right. No point in beating this dead horse for 20 more minutes. Does anybody have anything they wish to say?
All it takes is one deal to change your life.
100%. One deal, one conversation, man. One conversation, one open house, one handwritten note, one text message, one really valuable research-based email. It can change on a dime, y'all. It really, really can. All right. Now, I know speaking up on these calls is not very popular. So I'm going to end just by reminding y'all that if you go to deanofhustle.com, you can schedule one-on-ones with me whenever you want. Okay. And I think since it's the year-end point, whether it's with me or with Amber or with Blake, you guys should be scheduling some one-on-ones and really talking this through. But I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to work with you on devising a schedule. I'm happy to work with you on helping you find your voice and your lane in terms of content creation, role playing. If you want to role play with me one-on-one, whatever you need, whatever you want, wherever you feel like you're lacking, let's get it going. I could tell you, the best strategy is not to say, I'd like to schedule a coaching call with you. I would say the better strategy would be just to schedule it. Okay. Show me that you want it. Because if you leave it up to me, I'm not going to be the one scheduling it with you. All right. I've said this many times too. I can't want it more than you do. All right. So let's see how badly you want it. You got plenty of time today to really get some amazing wins in, and you got plenty of time today to schedule a call with me. All right. Thank y'all for joining me. I think this has been valuable, and I will see y'all not next week because I'm on vacation, but the week after that. See ya.